Thank you and good afternoon. Firstly, thanks to Blackstar for the invitation to talk at their TechFusion event. I'm David Blackburn. I'm CTO for Genius Networks, responsible for the strategy and development of our global core network. Yeah, technology. So, talk a little bit around networks for a demanding generation, some of the challenges, some of the issues, and really around kind of move to the cloud, introduction of SDN technologies. So fundamentally, the challenges haven't really changed. The challenges that were in the local area network when applications were on-premise are now essentially moving to the local area network, incorporating the wide area network to access the applications that are there. There's obviously a broad diversity. We're looking at applications hosted across all the major platforms, access to Office 365 and Microsoft, integrating real-time with voice and collaboration tools, and obviously a whole host of applications that are in individual clouds and owner hosted. Where we sit is fundamentally trying to bring some level of control and management to the access of these applications. So really around, instead of them just being in the cloud, just being on public access, that effectively we can bring a level of control to that. We can take some ownership in terms of accessing these through public and private connectivity, but controlling and to some degree monitoring and managing how these are utilized and keep them in a business environment. When we look at communications, fundamentally voice video conferencing, but also real-time collaboration is now coming into the same scope. The number of technologies in this space are not decreasing. It's growing as to single global platforms on most, and everybody wants more and more integration whilst they also get more and more flexibility that's within there. So where we see ourselves as meeting the challenges, we've always been very flexible and dynamic. It's a fundamental cornerstone, and we're not going to lose it. It's incredibly important to what we do, how we look at our strategy going forward. We fully support private networks, obviously, background, but moving to public, and very much from our side, looking at hybrid wide area networking and getting fit-for-purpose networks. We can't control the cloud, but we can better control the access to it and the management of it, so we can turn it more into a business service that's within there. And the cloud is great. There's obviously all the benefits, all the reasons that people are using it, they're going for it. With the defined access, you've still got to deal with the data storage issues of the cloud, the GDPR issues that are in there. You've got to manage the latency of where applications are in the cloud, where you are, where your users are. And we'll start to introduce software-defined networkings, which are being touted as the utopia for accessing anything, anywhere in the world in any way, shape, or form. The reality is today, in my opinion, software-defined networking at the moment is really much more around traffic routing, traffic management. There's some great UIs, some really nice reports, some stats, some features that work well, some that fundamentally don't offer a great deal. But they're really just managing how you better use hybrid public-private networks. True SDN, from our perspective, is really where we see that level of technology being integrated to the applications it's delivering. When we get that level of integration, the applications start to manage the networks. When the applications start to manage the networks, they then define the network that they need at any point they need it to ensure the user experience of that is optimized. We're not there yet. It's very, very small areas that we're actually seeing any real progress in it. But that's where we see that the real benefit of software-defined networking will come in. We're also seeing the move towards consumption-based services. Historically, application services are on 3, 4, 5-year contracts. You're tied into a technology for a long period of time. You're committed to the number of users you have. You're committed to the services that are in there. When we look at these services and these contracts and these terms, and you start to look at things that are emerging, things out of the AWS world, AWS Connect, etc., where we're getting into, effectively per minute user billing and usage, there's a massive gap between those two. It's not going to flip overnight. There's legal issues, there's commercial issues. But fundamentally, it's rapidly moving more towards that consumption-based network. And the more it moves towards that, the more that plays back into the software-defined network to understand the number of users consuming any application, how much is needed in terms of bandwidth, how much is needed in terms of application, compute, process power, and that's where everything starts to join up a lot more and the benefits start to become a lot clearer from there. So our positioning to implement, deliver, support these kinds of services. So we've got we don't have globes. We have nodes all around the world, which gives us regional access, regional ability to do that. Those are connected to over 38 carriers. We've got about 250 fiber interconnects to those carriers. Across all of those nodes, we fully support hybrid public-private access into there. And across all of this, we have our own ISIP platform, Intelligent SIP platform. That's linked in to a number of global SIP carriers. We have SIP in 138 countries, which we can then deliver with the requisite level of control and management and monitoring from the nodes into the right region, managing the latency of the voice, delivering it into the appropriate cloud application, the cloud platform that's fit for purpose in the latency terms in the region. And we can do that direct. So we can keep all the voice traffic, video traffic, whatever it is, private and controlled and managed from there. In terms of our positioning in the world of software-defined networks today, we're seeing carriers selecting a technology. So if you go with a specific carrier, you have that carrier's network. You're restricted to the reach of their network. You're restricted to the partners that they have beyond their own reach. And they've got a technology they've committed to. So your journey for however long your contract to that carrier is completely within those boundaries in a rapidly changing and evolving world, both for the organizations that are consuming it, but also for the technologies that are becoming available. As an aggregator of networks, we've always had that flexibility that we can work to find the right carrier commercially, technically, at wherever the location is globally, the right route, be that from internet, access into the clouds, etc., and have that flexibility and control it. So our position on SDN is bring your own SDN. It's a strong proposition as a channel player because it means our channel partners can bring their own SDN technology as an overlay, as a value add to what they're delivering to their customers, as a revenue stream, but it flows down to the customers. They might have a preference within their strategy, within their IT, within their experience that they want to utilize. Therefore, they've got that flexibility. If they want to change it, they can change it. What we do is we support it. So I would say 9 out of 10 technologies that get brought to us, we already know how to integrate the centralized controller units, how to give them that access to the hosted controllers, for us to host controllers in the network, for us to support all the other aspects to make the SD-WAN proposition work, but with that flexibility that we let people choose and evolve and develop with the technologies that they've got and what they're wanting to do in their business and how they're effectively wanting to deploy it. So essentially, with that flexibility and the approach we have, we see ourselves very much in terms of accessing cloud applications, public hybrid WANs, supporting organizations in the journey that they're going on, the adventure that they're going on with technologies as their technology partner, and giving that freedom and flexibility to change, to evolve, to develop, and really providing that underlying global voice and data network to deliver what they want, how they want it, where they want it effectively. Short and sweet, I thought I'd get some time back. So thank you everybody for your time, really appreciate it. And if you've got any questions, I'll be about afterwards.